So, welcome to One Piece Tales of Laughter. Today, we're going to be looking at the first episode of the live action One Piece adaptation from Netflix and giving it a review. So, sit back and enjoy. This should be an interesting look at a One Piece enthusiast's perspective on how well they adapted it, what things I like, what things I didn't like, and what things I'm hoping for the future. So the first thing I'll note about episode 1 of the One Piece live action series is that Luffy was falling asleep in a barrel, and I think that's great. They showed how essentially Luffy got onto Alvida's ship, and I'm glad that they kept that parallel from the main series. One thing I noticed on my first watch through, and I thought this was really cool about Alvida, is that she was really giving it to them. She was hitting them with that mace, and it was not pretty. Like, you can tell that thing hurt, and that these people were in danger when she was around. So I really liked how visceral that was from Alvida. I thought that was really excellent. A little later on, they introduced Coby, who is a captive and a galley boy, I suppose, of the Alvida pirates. And I think his adaptation was interesting. I don't want to say exactly how, I don't know the exact words to use to describe how he looks to me, but there you have it. And I think that's an interesting difference from his depiction in the manga and the anime, because in the manga and the anime he was kind of doughy and short, and as the years progress, as we get through the time skip, as we see him again, he's had a growth spurt and he's a lot more muscular, and that's really hard to do in a series, to get one actor to grow 5 inches. And so instead, they made him look a little bit more feminine, in my opinion. And I suppose this will give some pretty good contrast to how they're going to bulk him up in later seasons of this show. So it's a choice. I think it was okay. Another thing I noticed about the show is that when I look at young Luffy, he's clearly more black than anything else, or an Afro-Latino than anything else. And Iñaki seems a little bit more mestizo, even though I don't want to try to assume his racial heritage. But I thought that was interesting. I still think it works. They're both curly-haired Latino guys. Although I do wish that young Luffy had a little bit more of an accent, even though I see that there was some work done there. Moving on, we see Alvida, and she's back on her ship. And I have to say that her acting was pretty tough. She was doing her thing. She was not just a throwaway character. Alvida sometimes comes off as a throwaway character because she's just the first enemy he faces, and then we're on to the next one. But she was actually doing some really good acting there, and I enjoyed seeing it. I also liked how they introduced Baroque Works, which is going to be a pivotal part of season 2, because that is the, I guess, spoilers for people who don't watch One Piece, but that is the syndicate that is ran by the main villain of the Alabasta arc. So I like that it was there. Going back to those flashbacks with young Luffy, it would have made a little bit more sense to me, especially considering older Luffy's accent, that some people in his village had the same accent. It's kind of weird. They all seem British, or they have a British accent, which isn't great. It's either American or British, and I don't really hear too much of a Spanish accent outside of, I believe, there are villains who are villain pirates that come onto the scene, and they have a Latino accent. So I really hope that they introduce more characters in these flashbacks that had accents of some sort. Spanish accents specifically. Hopefully Ace and Sabo are Latino as well. That would be pretty cool for me. Even though Sabo isn't coded very Latino, he's more of a rapscallion young British youth type of guy in his depiction. But I still hope that Ace is Latino. I hope that Sabo can possibly be Latino, even Spanish, although he looks more like Oliver Twist than anything else. So the one part of the episode that I was not really happy with was Luffy's slap. I thought it was very awkward. He slapped Coby when he was talking to him. And this is a callback to in the series when Luffy punches Coby on the top of his head. And I'm glad they attempted it, but I don't think it was very effective. It looked a little bit awkward. In the actual manga, in the series, in the anime, Coby was being a little bit hysterical at the time, which is why he got punched on the head. So to have Luffy hit him out of him being pessimistic, essentially, was kind of weak for me. It didn't make sense. I would have had the Coby character start, being a little hysterical before I did that. Going forward, we see Zoro. He was introduced with Baroque works because he was fighting. I think he was pretty tough in this episode as well. I liked his sword fight, but I think it could definitely improve. I think the sword fighting in this series in general is hit and miss for me. And it's not fight to fight. It's really moment to moment. It's like hit or miss to me. And so I think they can definitely improve that. Zoro's swords look really good here, though. They look really great. We also, in this very first episode, introduced Nami, and I really think that they could use a little bit less Nami. I really didn't like her appearing so much here. I would have preferred if she had just been like a cameo, essentially. But she was here a lot. I wish she had been a cameo and then disappeared until episode 2, but that's okay. That was just my little critique. Overall, I think it was a pretty good episode. I don't think it was the best episode in the season, but I think it is a solid 7 for me. And so that is my critique of the One Piece live action. Check out One Piece live action and check out the next video where I look at episode 2. See you soon.